Well, Sarah, thank you for letting me interview you. I know that you wouldn't have let just anyone come into your home and do the interview with you. We met yesterday at a conference.
Yes.
No weirdness there in the sense of it's all synchronicity. You know, you can't make this stuff up. And you've been in the what would we call this field that you're in? If we were to kind of, because we like to put labels on things, don't we? Let's say, you know, I'm a channeler, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. What is it you do for a career, would you say?
Career? You mean passing time here on Earth?
Right,
By
right.
passing time here on Earth. So I do, where I bring people up in frequency, I reprogram their DNA. I do a lot of things. I go into their past lives. I reconnect their soul energy to their bodies, so it flows better. I mean, it's there, just better flow. Just a lot of things. I do DNA upgrades. Oh, you would know. We spoke about.
Well, where did this start from? I mean, as a child, did you always have these abilities?
I was always gifted since a child, and I spoke to many different beings.
Okay, and how did other friends take it that when you were doing that kind of thing? Did you ever tell friends you were doing that?
If people needed healing or stuff like that, I would take care of it.
So from day one, when did you sort of become conscious that you were aware of yourself in a sense?
I remember coming into this body. I mean, I didn't really worry about what people think, and I still don't too much. Like, I just think that if they're not kind, that they're not kind because they're suffering inside of them. But I won't allow them to project that suffering on me. I always had it. I remember traveling to Earth. I chose to come to Earth. I remember this. So, were people unkind to me about it? Yes, they were. There were people who were unkind. But anything that's different, people aren't very accepting of sometimes. So, and people are in such thought prisons and prisons on so many levels that, you know, it's like they're so used to their prison that they've got so used to it that even if you opened all the doors and said, listen, you can have your freedom, they're like, no, I'm staying in my prison.
It's like even if you gave them physical proof as well, that would still not be enough.
Allegory of Plato's cave. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, funny when you mentioned there about not being from this earth. I just think of Dolores Cannon. Did you ever come across Dolores Cannon's work?
I really don't read too much. I've been gifted a lot of books. I read when I can, but recently, like, I've been very, very busy. I'm very, very busy. Well, you know this.
Yes.
No, I haven't. I've heard of it, though. No, not really. I mean, I've heard of it, though.
Well, no, you know, that's a great sign as well, that you've come to this understanding yourself and you've not been too influenced by other books. But, you know, when you know, growing up, teenage years, you know, whatever years really, you know, was there any material that you can say, oh, well, I read this material and this really helped me?
I didn't have time to. I helped with my brothers and sisters. I didn't have any time to do that sort of stuff. So I had a very interesting childhood. So
a tough childhood?
Yeah, it was a very tough childhood. So
Because you grew up in France?
Partially in France, partially in the United States.
What part of the US?
Well, my mom kind of traveled when I was a child.
Oh, right.
So she kind of traveled around the United States. So.
Right, so you
So I was born on one side and wound up on the other side, and then we left from the other side to France at a certain point.
Wow, so you never were really at one place too long?
No, not until we got to France. Then I was,
How long were you in France for?
I came back to the United States when I was 24 and a half.
By yourself?
Yes.
Wow. You felt a calling to come back?
Long story. I was trying, and I needed to leave France. I couldn't stay there. for specific reasons.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, I have the French nationality. I'm dual nationality. I just couldn't stay in France for specific reasons. So they actually put me on a plane and took care of me and sent me over to my older sister in the United States. So they were really nice, by the way. They didn't want me to leave France, but I just I needed to come to the United States for a while. Then I left to England. I did travel around the United States. I actually did a whole road trip.
Wow.
Then I left to England. So I traveled quite a bit.
England? And what parts of England did you go to?
Canterbury, Kent. Lived there for like some years. Yeah.
Did you ever go to any of the power centres where the stones are and
I've
stuff?
been to Stonehenge. I've been to Glastonbury. I've been to different places. I've been to the Shell Grotto. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, yeah. So you knew England quite well, my home country.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it over there. I miss
well,
it.
there's a very different type of energy, isn't there, over there?
I love it.
I'm trying to get away from it.
I know, and I love it. It's very grey, though. That's for sure.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that gets me down. That does. Why America? I mean, I know you had to go, but I mean, there must have been a pull here for you to do your work.
So England, in the glandular system, each part of the planet is according to a different gland, a different body part. So like France is the heart, America, Kundalini, the spine, okay. England, the glandular system.
Where did you learn your craft then? Where have you, is this coming from?
STEM.
Yeah, so do you think you're pulling some of this from past lives?
Oh yes, I do go back and forth in past lives and stuff like that.
Which of those past lives are happening now?
I would like to say that I can tell you this, okay? So there's this beautiful experience I had. Here, how can I explain it? So I was living more than one lifetime at a time.
Multidimensional.
Yes. So even though you're here, you exist everywhere else.
Yeah.
So time really doesn't exist. You just are.
How many other dimensional realities of this plane do you think exist?
This is the problem. Everybody wants numbers and labels when there are nothing as of such for the divine. When it goes to those like levels, we're allowed to have labels and stuff here. But when you go to higher levels, there's really nothing like that. There's feelings that you feel.
We humans like numbers and facts and figures, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Organizations.
Organizations, yeah. You know, one interesting thing I learned on my journey, well, I didn't learn, but I heard, and it feels right, is that women were once the power. Women were once in charge.
I actually have a good joke about that, but I'll pass.
But does that resonate with
Men
you?
are quite interested. They talk all this crap about women, but they spend their lives trying to get close to women. Like back where they came from.
Isn't that true?
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's the world's worst dictator. He's obviously trying on some level.
Yeah.
The divine feminine was suppressed. So I'd say with male and female there's equal balance. It's ridiculous the wars going on of everybody fighting over, you know, whether the whole that suppression of women or that women shouldn't have a voice or so on. It's just ridiculous. The wars I see just even going on social media between men and women, it's just ridiculous. It's sad. And that's because they always have to put somebody under them so that they feel better about themselves, because if you feel good about yourself, you won't put anybody under you.
Yeah. Well, and you see that is your own reflection.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I only say that because...
But some reflections don't fit with you.
Oh, that's
like
true.
puzzle pieces. Like, per se in relationships, there are people that are in relationships, they don't belong together. And their relationship isn't that great. And if they let that person go, they would make room for the person that they're meant to be with. And that person would go off and find who they're supposed to be with, but they cling to each other because people just, they've lost, with everything that's went on, they've lost their confidence, they've lost like their connection to love, their connection to their soul, so they're all like clinging to each other. Instead of going within and finding their own power, they're clinging to each other. This is a problem. And, when if a reflection doesn't fit, it's meant to be somewhere else, like a puzzle piece, not meant to be there with you. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, yes. I think it makes sense. Yeah, it does. It does.
So it means like when we say, okay, I don't vibe with this person or I don't like their energy, that's okay. That energy isn't meant for you. It's meant for somebody else. So there's nothing negative in that.
Because there should be.
But just don't be mean about it, but just be like, you aren't meant,
Yeah.
You're lovely, you're not meant for me.
Yeah.
I want you to find,
Because there should be a physical attraction as well, shouldn't there?
Well, there should be a magnetic, you should feel. People do a lot of words again, or people are read for money or for looks or whatever, but they're not feeling. You have to feel. Feel it.
Yeah, because what may be attractive for you when you find that, other people may look at and say, well, it's not for me. No, that's how it works. Yeah. And good point to know, actually. Yeah, just for other people watching this as well. Just we get so lost, don't we, in all the crap sometimes.
Yes, and a lot of people are with each other and they don't belong together.
Oh God, yeah, it's true.
And if we had a lot more people who would, they'd listen to their feelings, and they'd, even when it comes to like sex, right? You go everywhere. There's stuff that is just pushing sex on, whether it's in the media, whether it's commercials, it's just everywhere. But you think about it, so we live in a culture that is, all that's pushed on us, but what's not pushed on us is like, wait a minute, you should only connect to somebody that you love or have feelings for, so people have an empty connection. So we have a lot of sex in the world with barely any love.
That is a big problem.
So the thing is that we need love. We need to focus on love. And if you should only get with a person if you care about them or if you love them, not because you've had a hard time and you're finding a person that you're going to dispose for a night, because you're not like, that's harming yourself and harming that person.
Yeah.
And it's harming God itself. Love is God. So what I'm trying to say is like, we focus so much on physical stuff like sex, food, all this stuff. Even with food, we're eating food that has like no taste in it here in America. We're eating food that's like plasticky. We're not lighting our senses up, because when we light our senses up, we get goosebumps. We stream in more of that God energy and connect to it. So even whether it's sex, food, or whatever, we are living robotic lives or lower consciousness lives that have no charge, no emotion, motion of energy, emotion, motion of energy.
Yeah, and when you've lived a bit of life, you know what that sexual connection feels like with when there's love involved. That's a different connection.
I'm very blessed that I've only been with people that I care about, so I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, and I don't think, can you judge somebody for getting with someone temporarily and not staying in that relationship? I don't know.
No, you can't do that at all. That's not, no.
Yeah.
Again, no, not at all. So it's like people have their choices to do what they want. But we should, in society, we have schools, teach these children, go to who you love, who you feel for.
Well, they do not teach that. Yeah.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, teach them things like that. Teach them to have that moment of, when you feel something that's just magical. You have, the goosebump moment. Do you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, the media doesn't even teach that, does it?
Because everybody's forgot their souls. This is why we're doing this right now.
Right.
There'd be no use for us sitting here and conversing.
No, well,
there really wouldn't. Think about it. All of the stuff I'm saying and you're saying, there'd be no use if everybody was connected to their souls how they should be. We wouldn't have to be sitting here doing this.
And these are only just our opinions. These do not need to be the opinions of others.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's what makes them unique and beautiful. Everybody, there's a lot of people, you know, and I respect, as long as your opinion isn't killing, harming, or hurting somebody else, I'm okay with it.
Or yourself.
Yes.
Because
that's flow. If it's harming people and it's being harmful, I'm not okay. Now I will speak up about that. But otherwise, even if I don't agree, if you have the most out there opinion and it's not harming anybody, I have to accept that. Because I must allow you to flow and be how you wish. That's your freedom of choice. I have no power. I should not use any power over that. That is, for me, evil is to impose your will upon another. And that's when you go against God, is when you impose your will upon another. And this is what we have in society. Everybody's trying to impose their will on how people should dress, on how people should talk, on how people should look, on how... Okay, just make it that nobody is harming each other, and let everybody, if they want to have green hair, if they want to dress like whatever, let them be. That's their unique creativity. If that makes them happy, let them be. This is the whole problem in society. People can't just let each other be in flow.
Does an awakened society allow people to be in flow?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It says, I acknowledge you, you're beautiful. No matter whatever you choose to do, as long as it's not harming anybody, that's their freedom of choice. You have the choice to love who you want.
Are we heading to a time when, we're going to a time when we are all going to become more awakened? I wouldn't say completely awakened, but more awakened.
Yes.
Yeah.
The solar flares have a lot to do with that. Yes.
Do you think you'll see that in your lifetime?
Of course.
And is that the reality that you're going to create?
It's the reality humanity is creating because they're tired of the way things are going. And you can see that in the media and stuff, how everybody's kind of waking up and rising up and saying something's wrong here and we really need to change it.
What is your mission here, if you had one, or do you not like that word?
It would be to remind humanity that they have so much power within themselves and their souls, to remind them how divine and beautiful they are, no matter how they look or what race they are, and that God is within all of them and accepts all of them. God isn't biased on any of the ridiculous things of this world.
No, I truly agree with you there. Do you ever feel, maybe obvious this is, but a bit isolated sometimes with having gone through this massive awakening?
No. I generally...
Well,
you saw me. Huh? Well, did you see me at the conference yesterday? Did you see any issues with me getting along with people?
I observed you as being friendly to people and waving and...
Yeah, people
nice.
very loved, they were hugging me and stuff,
Yeah. I observed nice
I'm not
things.
isolated.
No, that's good, that's good. No, but for some people, an awakening for some people can be really difficult.
Oh yeah, it can be traumatizing for people. But now, I think some years ago, now people are kind of finding each other and...
It's different, isn't it?
It's getting better, yeah.
It's
like it's almost changed because it's the cool people kind of who are... If you're awakened, you're now a cool person. I noticed this. I was like, suddenly you've become the cool person or something like that. I was the weirdo and the creep and whatever. So that was an interesting change in events.
And also you do a lot of media work as well, don't you?
Really?
I think so, from what I get told. I want to look at the internet.
That's just all those crazy blogs about people who think that they know about me.
Well, no, but you're working with some. What have you worked on? What have you done?
So I've done work in England. I've done work here. Recently I did George Norrie. I did some other work with Gaia. I just prefer not to talk about it. Till it's finished. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful surprise for everybody.
That's good.
It's going to be something that I was telling, my producer, I was like, I don't want just words because words are empty. I want words with charge. like the river of life, like a charge that can go into people when they watch it. They'll feel that. Just because I did the George Norrie interview and people felt it. I had people come to me and say they felt that, like they were healing just from that. You know what? And it's not me again. We can all do this. We can all open that energy portal and give.
Yes.
Be givers of light, givers of life, givers of healing.
Do you do your
and
work?
If we all did that to each other.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Sorry. Do you do your work remotely or is it in person?
Oh, I can do it remotely. I can affect somebody across the world.
Did you have clients coming from across the world?
I've got clients all around the world, and it's very hard to book me because my poor assistant, he's like, he can't cope anymore. But I try to spend a lot of time where I do my sort of like take care of myself.
Yes.
That's very important. Doing meditation, and I just sometimes, if there are clients on that day, I'm like, I can't do it today. I'll move you to another day because I need this day to meditate or to pray or to, do self-care.
I should take a leaf out of your book. I'm going to start doing that. When I get to California, I'm not, well, I've got a bit of a crazy schedule for the schedule I've booked so far, but nothing that's as bad as it has been. Should I just say that?
I've been very busy myself.
Yeah,
yes.
You know what it's like traveling and everything else.
I got back home at like 3 o'clock last night.
Oh my God.
We had some amazing conversations.
Well, we're 12 o'clock tonight. We're still going.
Oh, you have to leave at 4. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's absolutely fine. So, what is your website?
www.sarahradams.com or Sarah Rachel Adams. I just forgot that. Sarah, I think it's Sarah R. Adams or Sarah Rachel Adams. One of those.
Well, your website has been coming up on the screen throughout this as well, so don't worry about that. and we'll put it for the version that's going to go on YouTube, if there is a version.
I'm horrible at web. I'm horrible at web stuff. It's like I have a good friend who just is amazing at it. They're like a whiz.
So did you ever expect to have such a big client list? Did you ever expect to do this type of work?
Well, what I do is I kind of balance it because I do a lot of like charity work or helping people out. So it's really nice, like, because I can go and help people out, and that's like my thing. So I try to balance it. I want to put I'm going to put a series of courses together teaching people how to tap into all this different stuff and different facets of themselves.
Oh wow, that's going to be good.
I'm going to do that. I have a lot of work coming up for the rest of the year, So, yeah.
Do you do many conferences?
I am starting to do them again. I had kind of pulled out, so now I'm doing it. I've been invited to quite a few. So I'll be at the Anarchapulco one. So
oh, well, that was good.
I have all my friends there that are into, the Bitcoin and all of that. I'm learning about like some of that earth stuff because I stay so much like.
No, you have to keep it balanced.
Yes.
You have to keep it balanced. Now, just going back to channeling as well. What about negative forces? What have you learned about negative influences on us? And how do we know there's a negative influence?
And again, like, the frequency I am now, I wasn't in this, like, per se last year. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you'll notice, like, I'm different because I changed my frequency. So I'm constantly working on that. I just, I know that I was in Baja and I had this, like, amazing experience. So I took ayahuasca for the first time. Didn't do anything to me.
Did it not?
No. With me, ayahuasca is condensed nature, which people, when they're disconnected, when they only have a little bit of soul energy running through them, nature is the same thing as God. So they're putting a condensed energy of God within themselves to reawaken them. Mm-hmm. So I was there and I had it. So the plant will fight with you. If you have turmoil in yourself, and you're fighting against God almost because you're fighting against yourself. So when you take ayahuasca, some people have darker experiences is because of it's trying to break them out of their prisons, but they're fighting. They're like, no, I like my inner prison. That's why there's some bad experiences on ayahuasca. So I had ayahuasca, and I just. first of all, in my ayahuasca journey, I was trying to help some of the others because they were having a hard time. So I was like projected into their consciousness, which at least one person did see. So they said I like helped them. With ayahuasca, like, so it's just like, okay, I've got this. There's nothing much that I need to learn more, I guess, because the plant was just happy with me. Like it was like I was just happy with me. There was nothing, and so there was no blockages or anything. And then I said, okay, you know what? I have this. I'm gonna go do what I usually do. I'm gonna go into the consciousness of humanity and walk around. So I'm walking around, go kind of traveling in it, and I see the elite leaders of this world, and I could see within them, their consciousness, there was all these like monsters, almost like a horror movie, parasitical stuff. And me, when I was walking, all these flowers were coming out of me and light. So when I was traveling, so then I remember this stuff tried to scare me. I wasn't scared, and this light and all of these beautiful, like the flower of life, all of these very beautiful sacred symbolism came out, and it would knock the parasitical looking beings, and they were changed into these beautiful little beings that smiled and were happy.
Where do these beings come from?
Listen, so per se, people, they want to be in positions of power because they do not feel powerful within. So within them, they create these parasitical beings. How they see themselves, you're always creating using energy. So you're always creating what you see of yourself. So they're creating within themselves these beings, these parasitical stuff is their own thought forms. And they're getting lost in them. That's what's happening. But we have the ability to clear other people, just like I did to you earlier. We have this ability.
Definitely. And do you think the more you go into the light, the more they're going to be attracted to you?
Of course. There has always got to be balance in some way in that. Yeah, if you're doing a lot of work, good work, yeah, they're going to be attracted to you, but you shouldn't be afraid or anything because you have God within you.
Is there anything you can do to protect yourself? I mean, for me, I'll be honest, I just say that if there's anything negative attached to me, please go away. And I mean,
But wait a minute, those are words.
I've sometimes said in the name of Christ, you be gone. I mean,
the reason that people get healed in the name of religion or certain is because they believe, and that's charging it. To believe in something is to charge it with energy. If you believe that this candle could heal people, and you truly did,
yeah,
you could heal people with this candle. It's just the belief and the charge of energy.
So it's the belief there,
yeah,
which causes it to go. I mean, I don't often do that. I mean, I suppose
So when you do that, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
No, sorry. No, it's okay.
When you do that, you have to believe and pull that energy out of yourself and say, I am protected, and with your willpower, I am protected.
Yeah.
And then you will be. But just to be like, I'm protected, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, as long as you've got the belief.
The belief, and you're pushing the energy through you.
Yeah.
You can just imagine it coming up your spine and coming out of your mouth.
Where would you see your work going?
I'll let God decide that. I flow like a river. Sometimes I think that I'm going to flow one way. Then God says, don't do so. So I flow another way. Where the doors open, I'll go. Where they're shut, I won't go.
Now, I don't want to bring the vibe down here, but I think it's just important to mention something as well. That you have been through a year of hell.
More than that.
More than that, yeah. So, who was your ex-partner?
Max Spiers.
And Max was a famous, or an up-and-coming famous conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you meet Max?
Years and years and years ago.
Oh, you knew him from a long time ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were friends a long time before
were
we...
you?
Yes.
Okay.
He was so sweet. Yes, he was very, very sweet. He would always just wait and be like, try to see if I was, kind of single. I had this one instant where the person I was with, you know, we were just friends, and he was respectable during that time. He didn't push it, but he would always tell me, you know, I'm waiting for you. I love you.
Wow, really?
For quite a long time, and I just, you know, one day my partner then, because I had been with somebody for a long time, they took the phone and kind of texted him. It was like not very nice to him, and he just said, you know, he's like, I'll always be your friend and watch over her and care about her and love her. He's like, I'm not going to ever come between you and her, but I'm waiting around. Basically, you know, I'm always going to be here watching over her. So yeah.
Wow, you know, that says a lot about him, that does.
It does.
That was very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying
he used
that.
to write me poems and poetry.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I'll show you some
yeah.
maybe. I showed Roger some of the last
Right, right. You know, that's very beautiful, and like I said, that says a lot, because for someone to wait around while someone else is with someone and they love them, that is not an easy place to be put in.
Well, we
yourself.
had a friendship too. Whoever he was with or whoever I was with, we were still like just amazing friends.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, he was like, you know, because I broke up with this person, he was like, can I, like, you know, he tried to be like, I'll just visit you and stay with you on friend level, and then he kind of like he's so smart and sweet. But I did find out yesterday, you know, the person that they showed me some emails, and he had planned a surprise trip here to the United States, and he was going to arrive 3 days after he died. He was coming 3 days after he died. So he had mentioned it to me and always joked and said, I'm just going to show up over there at your door because I was here in the United States. I didn't really think he was going to until last night when I found that out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And of course, I've just mentioned, you know, people know about him obviously, but he was English as well.
He was English, yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he was, you know, some of his last interviews, I know he was talking about the heart and reconnecting to the heart, that was the power of everything. And we had talked about this because I guess we had talked about how there was just a lot of people who wanted to kind of exploit him about talking about conspiracy stuff, which is good. People need to know what's happening, but you know what's important is us focusing on our souls and the heart and heart healing.
You were the balance for that, because I've watched some of his past interviews before I came to see him, and I was like, he seemed a bit fed up with some of the interviews sometimes.
Yes.
Like it wasn't quite.
It wasn't what he was trying to get out there. We were being blocked on a lot of levels, like in the area, like even me, I was harassed and different stuff. So I was being blocked of getting my information out there. And I'm really blessed because like at first I just closed myself up, and when he died, I got attacked so much by people in this, even in this area, that had just a lot of inner issues, you know, and they kind of projected that. And I do believe because I had a lot of light energy that I was attacked. But basically we were having a hard time of getting the messages we wanted out there. People were trying to kind of twist stuff, or, you know, say what you could and couldn't say, or try to like get into our private lives and try to manipulate us like that, which in all honesty, there's a lot of brilliant people that are very connected that have, you know, messages, and those messages are very important. Their private lives shouldn't be that important to people.
So there's a lot going on with it. This is still an active case right now.
It is, and I'm very protective of myself now. I'm very blessed very blessed that we have lawyers and everything like that. And I have a lot of protection. I'm very blessed that now I have the outlets to say these things say what I experience, say what I feel, without having it monitored or cut out down or being told I can't say that.
So a lot of the rumors out there from all the other hosts out there with different shows that cover his death, you would say the majority of them aren't speaking the truth about what really happened.
They don't really know what happened at all. They have theories on it, and then people can get very like paranoid or different stuff and create just, I read some of the stuff and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's just not true. No, where did that come? What reality were you coming from? Yeah. Yeah.
But people, they're seeing with their lens, so that's how they are. That's what they are. They're seeing from that lens. That's just what they're projecting out is simply what they are.
Of course.
That's the thing, and it was just crazy because then I didn't want to do any media work anymore in this area because after being attacked by, certain projects, I didn't, want to. So I remember just being in England and telling one of my best friends who's also like my assistant, I was like, I am not doing any more work. I had been contacted by some of the people from Netflix and different stuff like that. We erased my whole Vice documentary, which they were really awesome. And I was like, I'm not doing this. So I was really disappointed in people in my field of how they acted towards me.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It was very surprising rather than seeing that I was really hurt. I was in another country when he died. Rather than seeing that I was really hurt and doing support, they were doing interviews with all these rumors and gossip and stuff and attacking me. They literally, I was gang stalked, harassed, and I have had people physically attack me.
Yeah.
So this is why now I have quite a bit of protection. So I didn't want to do any media work, and I winded up doing work with Gaia because it was the first email I ever had, and my assistant kind of just drove down and he took his phone and was like, "You're going to talk to them. You need to do this."
Yeah.
So, but I did during that time find out who was really authentic and who really was, and they stood around me. So my group kind of just stood around me, and even though they got attacked themselves, they just stood straight and it's great because now my whole group of friends, we kind of go and travel together.
That's
and
good.
We do charity work together, and we encourage each other to work out and be healthy, and everybody takes care of each other if they're having a bad day. And it's just like a whole family now because it brought us all together. It almost was positive because it brought us all together.
There is a positive side to this, of course. And this has been a year or more since he passed.
It's been way over a year,
which has helped. Which is you're further along the road of recovery right now as well.
I am I was diagnosed. I was told I was dying. The day that he died, I collapsed and went to the ER. So my aunt is probably going to come out and say a lot of stuff about this. And I collapsed and spit up blood and went to the ER. And for that whole year, doctor said I was dying. My organs were not functioning right. Couldn't eat or anything like that.
Oh God, bloody hell.
I had, a very hard time, but I did do a lot of self-healing.
Good.
So my aunt and uncles and everybody were there while that happened, so they were very supportive.
And
go
ahead.
So
sorry.
I didn't finish why work. So I started media work again because he came down and he was like, you need to talk to Gaia, because I guess they were trying to get a hold of me. So yeah.
Well, I was going to say there. Sorry.
And it was my first email. So the word Gaia to me is very important. It's the earth. I'm working for the earth.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. And so sorry for butting in there. And there's, I would say, privately we've talked. I'm not going to talk about this right now, but there is a lot more stuff to come out yet. Things are going to be displayed, and people's are going to. There's things still yet to come out, isn't there? That's what I'm trying to say.
I feel that there is. I'm hoping that there's some justice for his death. I believe that people were around him were not looking out for his well-being at all on any level. When he was around me, no matter what anybody says, he was very healthy and vibrant looking.
I can imagine he was.
Yes.
I can imagine he was. Obviously, we're not going to discuss, why he was killed or what happened.
Died.
Yeah, why he died.
Yes, I'd prefer to pass that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was very gifted, and
he was. Yeah.
Oh,
I told you. I look at him and I thought, God, that's the next David Icke in a sense. With that kind of energy. Not he would do exactly the same work, but it was that he had that potential.
Yeah. He was very brilliant on many levels.
Yeah, definitely.
So we would match together what we would pick up and what we were getting and. But
so much misinformation, I think, out there on the internet that probably some people wouldn't even know.
Isn't that why it's called the net?
Well, yeah, right. But they wouldn't even know that you was his partner. The news out there was.
I know there was like some article that was, well, and that's why like, well, I mean like in the Daily Mail, I think like got some stuff off, but you know the Daily Mail.
Yes, of course, I saw that article.
It's like.
Where did they get that from?
But no, but some like the BBC and stuff, they were actually really nice, and they were so nice, and they came and they like read the messages, and they were like, because I have messages, you know, just maybe 2 hours before he died, he messaged me, so they read all the messages and were like, you know, so yeah.
Yeah.
They put out some pretty legit articles.
Yeah.
On that, so they were really nice to me. I was shocked. This is what I was shocked. I was shocked that these more major news corporations were actually nice with me.
I know, right?
And that the alternative media was putting out all this gossip and crazy insanity and just acting super immature.
Well,
that's why I appreciate where I work now, because I'm like, they are very, very honest and straightforward.
Yes.
And I appreciate people like you who, you know, really just are straightforward and honest and aren't trying to play any games or trying to manipulate stuff.
Well,
you just simply yes.
Yeah, we try to be. I don't know. Yeah, but you know, all that old game playing, all that crap, is going to die out.
It is.
But the thing is, some of these people that play those crappy games have massive followings.
Well, yeah, you know, it's all the worst karma. They're going to have to learn some very hard issues then.
Yes. But and I'm not saying that from like.
You know, I was going to go in how do you call it, incognito. I was just going to disappear out the spotlight, basically. Then I thought that people will try to find me still. I'm like, it's already here.
Michael
it's
Jackson's
done.
Still alive.
They're going to be like, when I get on the internet next, there's going to be all these rumors of what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Like, seriously, I
think
might as well just ride. I'm on this wild horse that's just running. Instead of screaming and mad about it, I might as well just steer it the way I will help some people or help somebody, or the way that it'll be positive. That's what I thought. I'm like already on the horse and it's running. I can't get off right now.
No. And Max wouldn't want you to, and I'm sure he's helped orchestrate this.
He helps me all the time. He comes to me in dreams and talks
exactly.
to me.
And he would want you to be happy with your life. He would want you to move on when you're ready. He would want all these things for you. And you know, with you having such great abilities, you have to walk the walk. And I know it sounds so cruel me saying that, right? Yeah. But remember what we said in this interview, that about those who do and those who teach and those who don't do in their life. Yeah. And I'm not saying when you're ready. I'm not to fully, you know, move on. That will be an honor to him as well.
I think he just really wants to see me happy. He would always tell me that. He'd always tell me that when I smiled, that was like one of the best things in his life. So I think he'd always want me happy.
And if I deliver any message, maybe that's it.
Thank you.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
He's always doing stuff, whatever he can. He's always trying to defend me too.
But you must be in the right place to talk about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
I agree with you, because I did dream about him last night.
Oh. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I cried all this morning because I found out about the emails and that he was going to come here. So to the United States. So I found that out. So I did have a morning where I just had to tell my clients. I had clients this morning, and I just had to get my friend to rebook them because I just needed to cry, and I cried for like 3 hours this morning over it. But I had to get it out.
Well, you know, no matter how much you understand about where we go and what's going on, there is no escape from seeing through that grieving process. I don't care what anyone says.
There isn't. You have to feel to heal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, people who don't feel is because they shut off, because there's too much pain. And
they're escaping it. And they've got to face it even worse down the road somewhere when it's double as much.
I know.
Right. What is the most important message of your work?
It would be to remind people of how powerful they are, how divine they are. That, you know, no matter what color, what race, what ethnicity, what sexual orientation, and I'm probably going to get just slammed for that one, that they're all a part of God, and they all have God within them. And no matter what suffering they're going through, they can just silence their minds and go within, start connecting to their souls. There's all the solutions and all the healing there. I want to remind humanity of their power and of their souls. That's what I want to do. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a leader. I'm just somebody saying, remember who you are, because you're much more than you think you are.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in a thought prison that diminishes you. Get rid of that. Become whole again and happy. Rise up and stand up. Everybody needs to do that. Okay, so what I can do is I can start by doing some energy work on you if you want.
Absolutely.
It's so you would have to shut your eyes and yes, clear your mind. And you will usually feel tingling, warmth, or something else, as energy affects the body on every single level, every cell that there is. I'm just going to work on your chakra system. Please do let me know when you feel it.
When I
Feel it.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah. It's like a pulsing a little bit.
Yes.
God, that's weird.
So I'm going to actually bring your frequency up so that during this conversation,
Oh, it's
we
pulsing
can
more. It's
interact
pulsing much more. Yeah.
Yes.
There's part of me that thinks, do I want this, or is this in my imagination? But I've never felt that before. Wow.
So I'm just bringing you up in frequency.
God, God.
Your aura is changing colors.
Wow.
How are you feeling?
Well, yeah. Well, the pulsing, that was amazing. That was amazing. Is that answering your question? I don't know.
I obviously can feel what you feel. Whenever we tune ourselves to higher frequencies, we can see past the illusion of the world. So now I'm just going to work on your DNA. You can come back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't want to spend longer. You've got to stay in this world.
Absolutely.
Would you like a crystal doll?
No one's ever offered me that before, but yes, I'll take one. Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Good. Very good. That was very strange, but very cool. As strange as I didn't expect that.
You'll have all the energy you need now for your flight.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So that's a demonstration of just a portion of what you, well, not proof, but more of it's coming from me that I experienced that with you. And what would you call that?
What I said a while ago, God is within me. Since God is within me, and I'm aware of God, that makes me infinite in the things that I can do. So I can affect different stuff. And I do have abilities, but I wouldn't have them if I wasn't connected to my soul being God.
Yeah.
And we all have this force within us. This is my important message. I never ever want to say I'm above anybody, because I'm not. I want everybody to know that they're just as powerful. And no matter where they are in the world, even if they're in third world countries starving and suffering, they have to go within, because God's in there. And all solutions are in the soul, are in God.
Yeah, and we are an aspect of God, having a human experience.
We are all God. Yes, different pieces and parts of God. Thus today I said that God has infinite names. You know, different religions have given different names to God, but even your name, since you're a part of God, is God's name. So God has many names, yet is nameless.
Yes. And as we sit opposite each other, we're just different aspects of God having a human experience.
Exactly. And we can always tune in as much as we want. I just choose to tune in very high. Anybody can do that.
Most definitely.
Thus in the Bible it said that even man could reach higher than the angels, or as high as the angels.
Yeah. If I was to label what you do, what would be some of those labels?
No, I do upgrade people's DNA, bring them in higher frequencies, and do energetic healing. There's a lot of stuff that I can do. I fix their auric fields and chakra systems and everything, and sort of re-pull them back into their body so that they have that inner soul power. It's there. Just a lot of times people need to have it merged and be reminded of its power. Be reminded, that when they do merge that, they become a fully illuminated being. The two becoming one in the Bible that I spoke about earlier. It's male and female. We have both male and female energies within us. And also it was about balancing our light and dark side, because we also have that, the male and female, but also merging our soul energy directly into us. The two becoming one, the flesh and the soul becoming one, to then manifest man or humanity that is fully integrated and fully awakened. Because when you walk around, you're just a robot if you have a little bit of soul energy running through you, or a little bit of God energy running through you. And the more that you have that running through you, the more you're awake. The world is the way it is today because there are many robotic people that have a little bit of their soul energy running through them due to diet and many things. Thus, this is why I try to teach people to clean out their bodies and take care of their bodies so that they can stream that force more into them. And that, in there's healing and power. There's everything. You won't ever feel lonely. You could be in the middle of the desert and you know that you're eternal, that even if this body dies, it's just like this piece, taking this piece of clothing off. You're eternal. And you always feel loved. I always feel deeply loved. All the time. So many people come to me for love. It's because this is within me.
how did you get to that point of always loving yourself and feeling that love as well?
So it does, anything that is worth it in life takes work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to take care of your body, your mind, your soul energy. When you do, it's that manifests, that love is there. I mean, you can say all the words that you want of, I love myself or whatever. That doesn't work unless you're truly putting in love into yourself, and that's taking care of your body, mind, and soul. Yes.
So I know you're quite an advocate of eating the right foods to get to that space as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, you know, on this journey,
you haven't eaten so well.
No, and you know, fast food just equals less time and maybe a bit of a budget that's saved as well. That's the truth, right? Yeah. Because you're probably thinking, oh.
Do we need to put you up a GoFundMe for some food for your journey?
Well, no, you know, that's been the byproduct of what I've been doing. But I never really met someone, honestly, that in person, that reminded me of the value of putting that bit of extra money into something better for the body. So you believe in...
Well, you're feeding God itself.
You're feeding God itself. And so when it comes to food, then you would say live foods or...
A lot of live foods, yeah. That have chi energy.
And being a bit, you know, just for other people...
Live water, too, is very important.
Live water. So bottled water, do you drink that at all?
I prefer spring water. Of course, I found there's some springs around here, so I'm going to go get that.
Oh, cool.
Usually I do fresh spring water in glass as much as possible. Do I have to drink bottled water? Yes, at times.
Of course.
But I try to keep it that maybe like 80-90% of the time that I drink water that isn't bottled. So I do travel around with this water bottle that has a crystal in it, so I kind of fill that up. Oh, I did yesterday, remember?
Oh yes, at the event, that's where we
Yes.
met. Yes, of course. Yeah, you did actually. Yeah. And with foods, then, what I mean, for those that are interested in what you're saying, because I am, the live foods, what kind of foods would they be?
You can just take your hand and feel. You get yourself sensitive to energy. You take your hand. Like I go in the grocery store sometimes, or any markets or whatever, and I just pass my hand, and where I feel the most life force over something is what I will take. So you can also muscle test, and some foods are good for some people and some foods aren't.
That's a good point. It's not all one stop fits all, is it? Yeah.
God is very diverse.
Are you?
Don't you see all the colors of people around the world?
I do.
And they're all equally loved and equally cared about. They're all equally as powerful.
Would I ever stop eating meat right now? I know a lot of people that have gone vegan or pescatarian, but...
That's your own choice, though.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
I mean, you're okay as long as you try to put food in your body that doesn't have chemicals in it or additives in it, because those things are really block your cells and mess with you.
Where does the agenda come from to put those kind of chemicals in? I mean, is it not really down to making money?
Well, there's more of a war on consciousness. I mean, there's a war on consciousness. Food and consciousness go together. Food that blocks you energetically, because a lot of these additives and stuff, even it's funny with colors, you know. I'm doing all this work on the rainbow auric field, and how people are born with 1 to 3 colors in their field. And originally, Joseph had a coat of many colors, and he walked and talked with God. So people are being born with 1 to 3 colors, and if you do a quick Google search, you'll find out that most people have 1 to 3 colors in their auric field. Now, I have a friend and she has these light beds, and people who are depressed, they're missing a certain color in their auric field, and she can put them in there in the light bed, and after a couple sessions they'll have that color back in their field and they'll be happy. They'll experience bliss. They won't be depressed anymore. So colors are very important to us. So colors, fruits, vegetables, those are all aligned to our auric field and chakra system. But the thing is that, like, think about something like MMM and MMM. How do you say it? You know,
M&Ms.
Yes.
Is that the right way to say it?
Is
I
that
think
the right
so.
way?
I don't know, but I know what you mean. M&M.
M&Ms or
Yeah,
something like
M&M,
that,
yeah.
or Skittles. Those that have all those fake colors. Think about how those get in your system and how they mess up your whole system. Because when you eat a fruit vegetable, the charge in it, that's colorants with dead charge. When you eat fruit and vegetable, that energy goes to wherever you need it. You're not supposed to have green energy down here. Does that make sense? In your red chakra. So think about when you're eating that, it gets into your cells all over, and it really messes with you, all these different colorants. So they're like, the war on consciousness through food, through candy, through all of that is intense.
Yeah, and then you think of all the candy for kids.
If it's money, why is it something that has less additives in it cost more than something that has a lot of additives in it?
I guess because that's processed more, they make more of the rubbish than they do the good stuff. But obviously, what's your...
But you would think with all those additives in it would cost more to make, right? Because sometimes things have up to 100 additives in it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more work to make, don't you think, than something that's less, doesn't have all those additives in it? And don't you think those additives all cost money? So why is that cheaper than...
What do you think the reason
war
is?
on consciousness?
Who's projecting this war? Who's creating this war? Where is this war coming from?
It's a reflection of the state of mankind, of what's going on within themselves. People war with themselves every day. They war with themselves in thoughts, emotions, different stuff. They haven't become pilots. They're co-pilots of their bodies, of their energy fields, of their lives.
How do you stop warring with yourself?
You come to peace within.
On any given situation?
Well, if all the solutions are within, then we should always go within to look for that. For any situation that's hard.
What is that saying that Matt Kahn says? Whatever arises, love that.
Yes, flow with it. Understand it.
I don't do that enough. I'm trying, I'm learning, I'm getting better at it.
I think you're doing pretty good. You have very good energy, so that's why I'm sitting here doing this interview with you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for my energy as well. Cheers.
I'm very kind of very choosing when it comes to who I work with. It's very important that I only work with people who are giving good energy and trying to do something for the world, and that have the energy to support the words and support the work they're doing, because I see so many people that they have so many words or they create chaos and they're not helping people. They're just creating more confusion. They don't have the energy to back it up. You know, when we, specifically in this field, and I never want to be a teacher or anything, I just say what I feel and what I am and what I experience and what I see. I never want to be any spiritual teacher or anything like that. I'll tell you this, is that that's a lot of karma for those who have chosen to say that and haven't been authentic. So I'd prefer, that's just very messy, don't you see?
I see it all the time in my talk show. You know, the camera's off, or we haven't started recording. They're one person. Camera con's on. They're a different person. Mm-hmm. Where is the authentic? Where was that original person in the interview? Back in, behind the camera. Mm-hmm. That's sad.
So, this is my problem. So lots of people go to see, even in religions and stuff, and there's the words, and maybe it sounds very smart and very put together, but there's not the charge. So they go out with just more words confused in their minds and thoughts and theories. But if you speak to people and you open up yourself energetically, you're giving to them on an energetic level. You're becoming a portal where light or where energy pours out of you. And when the person leaves, they feel full. Even if they didn't quite understand what you said, they still got that charge, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, when someone that's promoting a lot of spirituality, books and everything else, right, and webinars and documentaries maybe that they're on, or whatever it may be, right, whatever their platforms are, yet they don't live it themselves, the teachings, that must be quite a self-destructive kind of life in a sense.
It is. And you generally do. I have told people I've meditated for up to 8 hours, and I do. So
Wow.
I spend as much as my time detoxed and meditate and building myself up and doing a lot of inner work or a lot of work. And I also know where my faults are, and I know when I should fix them. I know when I've done something that I shouldn't have, and nobody has to tell me, because my soul shows me and says, take a different road, take a different path. And every time I have not listened to that, it hasn't turned out well. So I've learned to as a sailor in a ship, even I've learned how to sail my ship quite smoothly, more smoothly than before. I had to learn some lessons even being in this world.
I can imagine you did.
Yeah.
I can imagine you did. And it's not been the easiest journey, has it?
But it's been the one that I need. So God wanted that for me. Otherwise I would have never lived it. So I understand God. I understand all God's choices and all. I understand that my soul is a part of God, and I chose this. There's nothing really more than lessons. And think about this, I'll finish this life even wiser.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Was there nothing better to do on a Saturday night than to sort of come down here? Because if we're all knowing and all powerful, right, for example, right, either this is like a great place to learn opposites, yeah.
It is. Imagine if you were a being that was all knowing. It'd be great to split yourself off and have some different experiences sometimes.
Maybe the being was isolated on its own. Maybe it gave itself up for us to have this experience, or parts of itself.
Possibly. I'd rather not talk about that one. Isn't there a nice song? What's her name? She's called Joan Osborne or something. What if God was one of us?
I know the title, yes. Yeah.
Trying to make its way back to heaven. All alone. That song kind of suits what you just told me.
Yeah. And that's only my take on it. Doesn't need to be anyone else's truth.
Everybody's truth is different.
Why
it's unique to them.
Why is that? Why is everyone else's truth
Everybody
different?
was the same. Wouldn't it be quite boring?
But if truth is...
Gerard say that God has a sense of humor.
Yes, he would agree with that. Yeah, it's always been my truth that my channeling always taught me that when you cross over, you take your truth with me. Yet I met other channelers on this journey who were very adamant that there is not personal truth, there's universal truth.
Exactly.
But then to me, the way my channeling told me...
But how you see that truth. You see that truth through a certain lens, where somebody else sees it through a different lens. It can be the same truth, but you're going to see it differently.
Yeah, well, you could
You're
say
seeing
that.
it through different lenses.
Right. So there may be points.
Like your cameras.
Oh, right. Yeah. There may be points in our truth that in our discussion, not that there has been, that we don't agree with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Not that has happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could do on certain things,
course.
But we would still be respectful enough to say.
But I would be seeing through one lens and you through another lens.
Yeah.
That's why when we started this, I brought you more to where I was seeing.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, most definitely you did. So we're gonna go around in circles here a little bit. Don't worry about that, because this can be placed back the right way if there is a right way.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't channel. That's not something you do.
I just am.
You just am. But channeling takes many different forms. It's not just one form fits all.
Of course, and it's through different lens. Everybody's seeing it through their unique lens. So you have many facets and aspects and views.
So if I was to say to you, what is channeling to you?
So I guess I could explain a little bit about how the junk DNA and how it's a quell for universal energy, God energy, what your soul is. And that when people start to channel, they're almost like revving up their car. They're allowing more of that energy to flow through them. More of this energy flows through them. They're tuned in, like tune in the radio also to a different radio station. They're tuned into another frequency that has a lot of different information there. And there's all sorts of different frequencies that have much different information. So these different channels would be channeling these different frequencies. So happen is they would open sort of a funnel of energy, rushing more through them. We have souls, but our soul energy moves through us. It's just not sitting there. It moves through us, almost like a river. So it's just like opening that river up more, the dam up, and letting it, all that energy through, kind of like that.
Have you ever experimented with channeling?
A lot of people say that I'm a channeler, but then, so what did I just do to you? Would you define that? What would you define that as, what I just did to you? And some of the things that I said, certainly people would be convinced that I'm channeling. But God is within me. I know my soul. So since I know my soul and it's merged with me, I speak is words that come from God. So I'm channeling God. We channel God every day in every word and everything we say, higher or lower levels of God. More near the light or further from the light.
That's good. That's really good. More near the light or further from the light.
Every word you say, everything you do, are all the actions of God and the words of God, just less or more. Some people choose to be very tuned in, and some people choose not to.
So you could say there's light within the dark.
We only suffer when we close God off from ourselves. And I finished off that conference last night. Did you hear what I said?
No.
So I finished off the conference by telling people this. I said, God never, I see many people say God has betrayed humanity, or there is no God, or God has deserted humanity, and this is such a sad thing. God never has deserted humanity. Humanity has deserted God and shut God off when they forgot their souls, which are God. God never left us. God's always been there. It's us who choose not to tap into God, not to hear God, not to listen to our very souls, our very essence of being. We are the ones who have chosen to be robotic and separate ourselves from God.
And the word God is just dog spelled backwards. It's just a human word.
Well,
And it's
I'm using the term God because that's something that people understand as some higher source of being. But, as stated, God has many names but no name. Because we are all God. Thus we have, God has many names. But also, God is a force that can never be defined in a word. It's infinite, and it's something that is felt. We talk about God so much, but nobody feels God. You know when you feel God? When you feel goosebumps.
Mm.
When you look at a beautiful sunrise and you feel goosebumps, or you hear a beautiful song, or you're hugging a person that you love and you feel goosebumps, or you're seeing the smile of a child. That's when you feel God. People talk.
Mm-hmm.
There are many words to describe God, but God is a feeling, not a word.
What is not God?
In the end, all is God.
I feel the same way. Totally.
Just less, like I said, more or less light.
Why do you think channelers channel an external entity sometimes? Why are they not just channeling themselves? Are they channeling themselves?
Sometimes they're channeling themselves and they don't know. Sometimes they're channeling older consciousness that are there, different frequencies. But I think, for me, my message to channelers would be like this. Yes, you can channel other stuff, but in the end, too, remember to channel yourself, because there's a lot of power inside of yourself. And sometimes people, they don't feel powerful, so they try to tap into other things when they really just need to tap into their souls. There's infinite information there. A while ago when I was doing the whole reading your mind thing, when we were sitting on the couch. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
So how was I doing that?
Well, you were bringing through a part of me, which is a part of you.
But I am, exactly, because I'm tuned into God.
Yeah. And do you think that maybe some people don't want to go down that road, that they're tuning
That's
into God?
their choice. They're not to be forced, for God is flow. God is not. This is the problem with society. Everybody's trying to force their views on everybody. You know? This is so wrong. Force is not of God. Flow is of God. But everybody tells everybody how they should dress, or, sort of whether they should be straight or gay or whatever, or they judge each other on everything. And when they do that, they're putting themselves in prisons themselves. Everybody is blocking each other rather than allowing each other to flow. God is unconditional love and flow. God doesn't care about race or sexual orientation, doesn't care how a person looks at all. People, because of their insecurities, because they have divided themselves off from God, have created such. And even those who think that they're on top somewhere, when they belittle others, they're really just creating more prisons for themselves. Everybody is creating so many blockages.
Yeah, that's so heavy. That's so true. That's so true. Well, Sarah, just thank you so much for allowing me to come here and sharing your truth.
Thank you. I'll finish it off with this. What I said at that conference. When you look in the mirror, you're looking at God. So treat yourself kindly and wisely.